The Dallas Cowboys need a lot of help in a lot of different areas, but this trade is perfect towards addressing one of their biggest needs, so we'll break that down and much more on this episode of Cowboys Digest. Welcome in, everybody, to Cowboys Digest. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, and today we're going to be breaking down a perfect trade candidate that the Dallas Cowboys should be targeting ahead of the trade deadline, which is just about a few weeks away. So before we get into that, I want to let you know that a large percentage of you watching these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So go ahead, hit that sub button. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out a ton. We're very close to my goal of 2,000 subscribers. It'd be nice if we could get there before the end of the bye week, let's say, for the Dallas Cowboys. But let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into it right here. And this is the trade candidate that I'm talking about right here. Bill Burnwell of ESPN.com laid out some potential trade candidates and named Herbert as an option for the Cowboys. This is Khalil Herbert, the running back from the Chicago Bears, who is right now the third stringer, but has shown some promise and definitely some skill in his first 3 seasons in the National Football League. His projected trade offer would only cost the Cowboys a 6th-round draft pick, meaning it would be a no-brainer for the team to acquire. There's no Derrick Henry lurking as an immediately impactful back, but what about adding another set of fresh legs to compete with Dowdle? Herbert is probably not the sort of back to shoulder a workload of 20 carries per game, but among the 46 players with 300 carries or more between 2021 and 2023, his 4.9 yards per carry average ranks 7th. So that is a very interesting stat right there. 4.9 yards per carry for his career. I mean, that's really good, man. That is a really good number, and it just shows you that he's got elusiveness, he's able to avoid contact, and definitely has the skill set and the patience to be a good runner. Now, granted, the Cowboys' O-line has been really poor in run blocking and just blocking in general, so I don't know if those numbers would necessarily translate if he were to come over to Dallas. But what I do want to highlight here is that he is miles better than what Ezekiel Elliott is providing to the Dallas Cowboys. And I like Rico Dowdle. I still think he should be the number one and getting the majority of the carries here and touches out of the backfield. However, Zeke is coming into the game and he's a total non-factor. He's not able to break away. He doesn't have that speed that he once had when he first got into the National Football League. And when he is called upon, when there are situations that the Cowboys need him in, they don't call upon him. Like at the goal line against Pittsburgh, Rico Dowdle is running the ball instead of Ezekiel Elliott, who is there to be your short yardage guy. I don't really understand that. I really don't understand that. So I think he's kind of lost in the shuffle right now. The Cowboys don't want to give Dalvin Cook a look, which is still baffling to me. I know he's maybe not the same back that he was years ago, but at the same time, you have nothing to lose. The running game has given you next to nothing all season long, so why not give it a shot? See if he's got a little bit of juice left in those legs, but the Cowboys are being stubborn, and I feel like they're going to continue to be stubborn in not trading for Khalil Herbert. And we take a look here. Herbert has been the odd man out in Chicago's rushing attack, as offensive coordinator Shane Waldron appears to prefer DeAndre Swift and Roschon Johnson. Herbert has played just 27 offensive snaps through 6 games and hasn't touched the ball since week 3. With his contract expiring after this season, he's likely going to be moving on in 2025. Here, general manager Ryan Poles would earn a pick for letting Herbert leave a half season earlier than expected. So I think it makes sense for both teams here. The Cowboys need to try something. Maybe they're tanking and they just won't say that they're tanking. That's entirely possible. And there's no way that Khalil Herbert gets any time in that backfield with DeAndre Swift and Roschon Johnson unless there is a significant injury. But I think one of those two guys can just be the primary ball carrier if anything were to happen to one or the other. So you love to have that organizational depth, especially when you have stats like this over the course of your career. You see that 4.8 yards per carry for his career, and then from 2021 to 2023, he's averaging 4.9 yards per carry. So he's solid. He's definitely solid. He's got breakaway speed. He's able to make men miss, and he would definitely add a different element to this Cowboys rushing attack that they do not bring to the table with Zeke Elliott. So I think this is a win-win for both teams. The Bears get a 6th-round pick for a guy who isn't even playing every Sunday, and then the Cowboys get someone to add to the backfield to challenge Rico Dowdle for those number 1 carries. And you see Zeke here, 3 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. It's just not good enough, and they're saying that they're saving him, but saving him for what? I don't know if this is a playoff team. I really don't. He's a power back, and you're not using him in situations where a power back is desperately needed. He's 29, but he's running like he's 35 here, and his best days are clearly behind him. They have been for a couple of years now. So bringing in Khalil Herbert, just spice up that running back room a little bit. I don't think there's any downside to that whatsoever, and it would make sense. It would totally make sense to have a guy like that come in and just challenge and pave the way, I guess, just to give a different look. Rico Dowdle and Khalil Herbert, it's not elite by any means, but I think it is better than Rico Dowdle and Ezekiel Elliott, what they are providing right now. I've liked what I've seen out of Dowdle in spots, but I don't know if he can be your outright number 1 guy. I don't know if he has that capability, and to be honest with you, he's never done it either. He's never been asked to shoulder that amount of carries over the course of an entire season. He got more looks last year when it was just him and Tony Pollard. He was getting looks every now and then when it was Zeke and Tony Pollard, but this is different now. This is different. You are the number 1 guy, and the team doesn't trust you to run the football. So they're trying to pass on first down. And if they don't pass on first down, you guarantee that they're going to pass on second down. So this is not conducive to having a balanced offense. You can't just pass the ball on every down, which is what the Cowboys are doing because they don't have confidence in Rico Dowdle to have good extended games on the ground, which I think is totally ludicrous. You have to give him a chance. Even if the guy's no good, you have to see what you have in him. You can't just not run the football. It can't not be an option for you. And that's what the Cowboys are resorting to here, and that is not a recipe for success. It's not. It's not. So I've been very disappointed with the play calling of Mike McCarthy. I think that they can get a lot more out of Rico than they have. And I feel like they can get a lot more out of having 2 competent running backs as opposed to Rico, who I think is solid, and then Zeke, who just has no burst left in his game, who has no ability to break through and break off a big run. He's just not that same guy anymore. He's not the guy who was drafted 4th overall by the Cowboys out of Ohio State. He doesn't have that same capability anymore. He was great as a rookie. He was great in his first few years in the National Football League, but he's peaked. And I don't. He'll never get back to that. Injuries, just lack of explosiveness right now. He is not the same Zeke, and bringing him back was a huge mistake by Jerry Jones. It's not the biggest mistake that he's made this offseason, but it was a mistake nonetheless. That'll wrap it up for this episode of Cowboys Digest. Shout out to you guys for making it this far. Go Cowboys, and I'll see you tomorrow.